The courtroom is quiet. The only noise is the gentle pulsating tick of the old clock hanging above the bench of the judge, every second slowly heavier than the last. Sitting in the front row, Christine Brown's hands shake as she holds a folder labeled Confidential Agreement, 2010. On the opposite side of the room, Kody Brown refuses to look at her, his jaw set, his eyes flashing between his attorney and the floor. This isn't the reunion anyone had in mind. This is war. A war fueled by decades of love, betrayal, vows, and deception. For years, the world saw Sister Wives as a tale of faith, family, and plural love. But behind the smiling confessions and the reality TV cameras, something more sinister was simmering. A deal so skillfully concealed, so far beneath, that it was never going to see the light of day. Until today. Today, in this courtroom, that secret is going to blow everything wide open. Christine says she discovered the document hidden in a stash of dusty tax records, a private marriage agreement penned by Kody himself. In it, he supposedly vowed equal property rights, income shares, and inheritance guarantees to each wife. But as the family fell apart, so did the vows. Janelle and Meri assert they were pushed out with nothing, while the youngest wife, Robyn, now dictates almost everything. And now, Christine is set to demonstrate that Kody violated his own binding covenant. As the judge brings the court to order, the Browns' well-crafted facade starts to fracture. Secrets once whispered in secret are about to be bellowed under oath. Friendships will fracture, facts will become distorted, and the family that once united will be brought before a reckoning they are not ready for. Because this isn't just a lawsuit, it's a betrayal on the record books. And by the time this trial is over, the world will never see Kody Brown in the same light again. If someone you loved for 20 years betrayed you on paper, would you forgive them or battle them in court? Tell me in the comments below before the truth is revealed. The gavel falls once, a resounding crack that rings out across the courtroom like a clap of thunder. Every head turns toward the figure at the eye of the tempest. Kody Brown, one-time proud patriarch of a sprawling polygamous clan, sits now in quiet, his hands laced together on the gleaming oak surface before him. He was the boss, the decision-maker, the man who professed to love and care for 4 women in one house. But today, he is not a husband. He is a defendant. This is more than a tale of shattered hearts or broken marriages. This is about a contract, a clandestine pact that Kody allegedly created over a decade ago. It was to be an emblem of fairness and trust. Every wife would inherit an equal portion of property, money, and family belongings, regardless of what the future might hold. But as the judge brings the session to order, Christine's lawyer approaches holding that very document, and the world that thought it knew the Browns begins to disintegrate. What if all you thought you knew about a family had been an expertly constructed illusion? What if the man who taught unity and equality had been concealing a legal treachery in plain sight? And what if that treachery was signed, sealed, and buried in a box? Until today. Today, that buried truth will shatter not only a family, but a legacy. Christine stands to testify, her voice firm but frigid. She speaks of years of concessions, vows, and affirmation, words now hollow. I trusted him, she tells him. We all did. But this confirms we were nothing more than pawns in his scheme. The courtroom grumbles. Kody fidgets but remains silent. The further Christine digs, the more perilous the truth is. And she's only just beginning. As the testimony reaches its midpoint, the tension heats up. Janelle, who was formerly Kody's staunchest defender, gets called to the stand. I stood up for him. I believed in him, she testifies, her voice cracking. But he deceived us all. What if your loyalty became your biggest error? The judge leans forward. Mr. Brown, he declares authoritatively, now it's time you told this court the truth. The first witness has spoken, but the most explosive evidence is yet to come. The air in the courtroom thickens like a storm cloud, heavy with electricity. Every seat is taken, every whisper hushed, because everyone knows what comes next could change everything. Christine's testimony rattled the room, but today, as the door is opened by the bailiff and the next witness is called, the mood changes from tense to explosive. It's Meri Brown, the first wife, the one who was there for Kody at the beginning, and the one who stands to lose the most. What do you do when the man who swore to always keep you safe becomes the reason why you stand in a courtroom? What do you do when love is transformed into leverage, and every moment you shared is used as a weapon against the man you once gave your whole life to? It is no longer just a trial. It is a reckoning. And Meri's tale could be the one that turns the balance of justice. Meri walks to the stand slowly, her eyes red but defiant. There's no anger in her expression, just years of disappointment carved deep into her face. I believed in our family, she begins softly, her voice trembling. I believed in the dream Kody sold us. But that contract, that's not a dream, that's a lie. She holds up a pile of papers, bank statements, property transfers, emails, each of them testifying to the same reality. Though Kody professed equality, he was secretly redistributing wealth to favor only Robyn and her kids. Murmurs of shock run through the room. Robyn's face reddens, and even Kody's lawyer appears shaken. The further back the evidence takes us, the more fissures reveal themselves. And this time there are no promises to hide behind. Halfway through her testimony, Meri drops a sinister bombshell. Kody had once informed her that verbal promises mean nothing in court. The room is quiet. That one sentence, carefree when uttered years before, now rings like a confession. If words are nothing, then what is love when written vows are broken? The judge reclines in his chair, his expression impassive. This court will need a complete reading of these documents, he states, and in an instant, the trial turns darker, more sinister. And just when it looks like the truth couldn't possibly get worse, the next witness is about to explode with the revelation no one could anticipate. The courtroom is different today. Colder, quieter, as if even the walls know that something heavy is about to be revealed. The crowd leans forward in their seats, sensing the storm that's about to break. Christine and Meri's testimonies were devastating, but they were only the surface. What's coming now will pierce straight through the heart of the Brown legacy. What if the one person you trusted most wasn't just lying, but redoing your whole future without you? What if the paper used to keep you safe became the tool used to erase you? The next revelation isn't just shocking, it's one from which there's no coming back. The bailiff summons Janelle Brown to the stand. Quiet and serene on the surface, she enters with the burden of deception weighing heavily across her shoulders. Janelle had been the voice of reason, the one that tried to maintain harmony when all the others were tearing each other apart, for years. Today, though, she is not there for harmony, she's there for justice. I was present when he wrote it, Janelle states, her tone firm but quiet. I saw him write those vows, and I took every word seriously. But I also saw the revision, the drafts he didn't share with us. She pushes across the table a set of papers, older versions of the contract, scribbled in Kody's writing. The original contained promises of financial independence for each wife. But the last draft, the one submitted quietly with his lawyer, took them all out. The courtroom gasped. Even Christine is shocked. She didn't know the lying went that far. The closer they are to the truth, the more sinister it gets. And this is just the tip of the conspiracy. Halfway through giving her statement, Janelle's voice breaks. He said to me, "It's just paperwork, Janelle. None of this will ever matter." But it mattered. It mattered more than he'll ever know. If words on paper can be altered, what else has been rewritten in their lives? The judge directs the papers into evidence. Kody's attorney goes white. And for the first time, Kody's cocky front starts to break. But the actual shock isn't the edits. It's the witness who is going to reveal what Kody did following the signing of the contract. The courtroom buzzes with an anxiety that can't be put into words. It all has been leading up to this. The testimony, the files, the betrayals, everything. The truth was no longer some rumor heard from afar. It was here, resting like a loaded gun on the witness stand. And this time, it wasn't held by a wife. It was Robyn Brown. What if the person whom everyone thought was innocent ends up being the only explanation for the whole conspiracy? What if that dreaded truth you never wanted to hear isn't from the people you should fear, but from someone standing right next to you? Here is the witness that will tear the narrative apart from within. Robyn slowly walks into the stand, her eyes blurry with tears. For so long she's been described as the favorite, the wife who received more attention, more time, more protection. But today her role is much more sinister, because Robyn has knowledge that no one else has. "I didn't want this," she breathes, clenching the edge of the witness stand. "I begged him not to do it. But Kody told me it was the only way to save our future." Silence descends on the courtroom. Robyn discloses that she was there when Kody spoke with a financial advisor 2 years ago. Same advisor who assisted in the creation of a trust fund in her name and her children's alone, using assets vowed in the initial agreement. The news comes as a sledgehammer. Christine hides her face in her hands. Janelle gasps in shock. Even Meri, who has been holding it together, cannot cover up her tears. Every new word from Robyn isn't merely testimony. It's another brick in Kody's empire falling apart. Midway through, Robyn's voice cracks. He told them they'd all leave eventually. He told me I would be the only one left behind. That's why he did it. If betrayal is unavoidable, does loyalty remain relevant? Or is it merely another control mechanism? The courtroom explodes. Kody leaps from his chair, his temper lost. That's not how it happened, he bellowed, but too late. The battle is lost. But the most stunning bit of evidence isn't testimony. It's a sealed envelope to be opened, one that can sink Kody's defense forever. The air is thicker now, as if each gasp in the courtroom weighs 15 years of deception. The wives' statements destroyed Kody's integrity, and Robyn's admission ripped the remaining threads of trust asunder. But nothing at all, has anyone ready for what is about to occur next. A sealed letter, pulled under court order from Kody's former lawyer, has just been filed into evidence. Within is a secret so shattering, it might terminate this trial even before a verdict is reached. What if the last piece of evidence did not only show betrayal, but rewrote the whole story of their lives? What if every move, every broken heart, every tear was a part of a calculated scheme from the beginning? This is no longer a contract. It's a blueprint to manipulation, and it's going to be revealed. The bailiff presents the envelope to the judge, who opens it with surgical care. There are a series of handwritten letters. Kody's personal correspondence with his lawyer, years prior to the marriages, began to break down. In them, Kody is writing about how to strategically isolate assets and structure family dynamics so that only one branch of his family, Robyn's, would have enduring financial control. The tone is cold, clinical, and chillingly calculated. Christine's eyes well with tears. Meri shakes her head in disbelief. He planned this, Janelle whispers, her voice cracking. All of it. The betrayal isn't an accident. It's a design, and the blueprint is now laid bare for the world to see. Midway through, the judge glares straight at Kody. These papers indicate premeditated intention, he declares flatly. That makes all the difference. Gasps run around the courtroom as Kody's lawyers rush into a fevered whisper. His cocky grin is replaced with a white-faced, shaken silence. If love was just a tactic, did the family ever exist, or was it all a scripted play? The judge adjourns the day's proceedings. As the crowd rises to disperse, one thing is certain: this isn't merely a court fight anymore. It's a battle for truth, justice, and the heart of a family that could never be the same. But the trial is hardly finished, and the next witness will reveal a secret even Kody never knew was coming. The next day, the courthouse is ringed with media trucks and blinding cameras. Headlines shriek such words as betrayal, conspiracy, and secret plan. Inside, the air is charged, that thick, suspenseful quiet before the storm. Yesterday's testimony blew away the cover of accidental betrayal. Today, it's about intent. And the person who gets up and onto the witness stand now might possess the most explosive truth of all. What if the last person you expected to talk, the one who has had nothing to say for all these years, now had the power to determine the future? What if one witness's word could not only crack the case but redefine history? That's what is about to occur. The bailiff calls Robyn Brown, Kody and Janelle's eldest son. The room stiffens. No one expected one of the children to testify. Dressed in a dark suit, Logan walks slowly to the stand, avoiding his father's eyes. He swore he'd never take sides. But now, with everything exposed, he's chosen to speak. "I thought my dad was a hero," Logan says, his voice trembling slightly. "I thought he was creating something for all of us. But I discovered that wasn't the case." He pulls out a folder of emails, messages between Kody and the family's accountant, uncovering talks of redirecting future inheritance money away from most of the children, and to Robyn's kids only. A collective gasp fills the courtroom. Christine buries her face in her hands. Meri's lips tremble. Even Robyn looks stunned. It seems she didn't know the full extent of Kody's plans. This isn't just about broken promises anymore. It's about a father betraying his own children. Halfway through his testimony, Logan's voice cracks. "I don't care about the money," he states, the tears rising. "I care about the lie. We all deserved better. When betrayal slashes through blood, is there anything remaining worth rescuing?" The judge leans forward, his voice serious. "Brown, this testimony fundamentally alters the character of this case." Kody sits stunned, not as a husband or a patriarch, but as a man who's been revealed by his own son. But the biggest knock hasn't come yet. And the next news bombshell will be the one that Kody dreaded most. The courtroom is a war ground now, not with fists and guns, but with words, facts, and shattered trust. The betrayal has spread far beyond contracts and marriages. It's infested bloodlines, tainted childhood memories, and destroyed the very foundation of what once united the Brown family. But even as heartbreaking as Logan's testimony was, the final witness promises to destroy whatever remains of Kody's defense. What if the last witness wasn't here to testify against Kody, but to share something even he didn't know would be coming to light? What if the revelation that could ruin him wasn't something to do with money or with promise, but with identity? This is where the story ceases to be about betrayal and begins to be about consequences. The bailiff calls Christine Brown to the stand for a second time, but this time she is not there as a broken-up wife. She is here with evidence that no one has seen before. From a slender envelope she pulls out a notarized affidavit, a sworn declaration by Kody's old business partner, who says he was hired to facilitate Kody in opening an offshore secret account, using profits from family ventures never reported to his wives. The account, the affidavit says, has piled up more than $4.7 million, all concealed under a shell company under Robyn's maiden name. The courtroom breaks out into chaos. Gasps fill the air. Someone screams, "This is fraud." The judge raps his gavel on the wood, calling for order. Kody pales. Sweat breaks out on his forehead. He stammers as his lawyer wildly searches the papers, obviously taken by surprise. It's not just a betrayal anymore. It's a crime. And crimes don't conclude with apology. They conclude with sentences. Christine's voice is firm now, stronger than ever. This wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. From the very beginning. What if love was only a disguise? A mask to hide greed, control, and power. The judge calls for a recess to check the document. But the harm is done. Kody is no longer merely a defendant in a civil suit. He's now being investigated for fraud and financial impropriety. But the most unpredictable twist is yet to come. And it will arrive when the man who constructed this family is compelled to testify against himself. The courtroom is colder than ever before. The patriarch once so proud now hunches at the defense table, his swagger gone, his empire unraveling brick by brick. The witness testimonies, the paperwork, the betrayals, they've all been building up to this one certain moment. The judge clears his throat and utters the words Kody Brown has feared since the trial started. "Mr. Brown, please take the stand." What does it look like when the teller of tales becomes the tale? When the man who used to have his way with every story is compelled to testify under oath, not as a spouse, not as a parent, but as a defendant. This is where deceptions can no longer find cover behind charm. And silence is the loudest admission of all. Kody stands up slowly, his hands shaking as he makes his way to the witness stand. The oath weighs more heavily than it ought. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" He pauses for the duration of a heartbeat, and the room registers. The prosecutor doesn't lose any time. "Mr. Brown, did you, or did you not sign a contract guaranteeing an equal sharing of property and monetary assets to all 4 wives?" "Yes," grumbles Kody. "And did you ever modify that agreement without their awareness?" A hesitation. "I made modification for the protection of the family." The room hums. Christine shakes her head, whispering, "Protection for whom?" The truth is no longer hidden in documents. It's finally spilling out of Kody's own lips. Halfway through interrogation, the prosecutor brings out the offshore account records. "Did you purposely conceal more than $4 million from your wives and kids?" Kody clenches his jaw. "I was trying to provide for the future." "Whose future?" The lawyer countered. "Yours or Robyn's?" When excuses fall apart, only the truth is left. And sometimes the truth is nastier than the lies ever were. The judge leans forward. "Mr. Brown, your testimony can now lead to criminal charges other than the civil lawsuit." The courtroom is silent once again. Kody's world isn't just falling apart, it's blowing up. Before the jury hands down the verdict, one final surprise will determine the outcome, and it's the one no one in this courtroom anticipates. What would you do if you were Christine? Let me know in the comments. The courtroom doors open on day 9 of the trial. But it's not the same old haughty media circus or familial drama that fills the air today. It's expectation. Everybody is aware the case is reaching its peak. The witnesses are finished. The testimony is staggering. And the walls of Kody Brown's meticulously built world are closing in.
But nobody is expecting the last witness to rise up, someone whose voice has the ability to alter the whole outcome. What if the individual with the last piece of the puzzle wasn't one of the wives, the attorneys, or even the kids, but a stranger who had been observing it all from the sidelines? What if their testimony could not only confirm the fraud, but reveal a whole new level of betrayal? The bailiff calls the witness, Michael Reed, a former financial advisor who once worked side by side with Kody. His arrival shocks the courtroom. Even Kody's own attorneys appear to be surprised. Sworn under oath, Michael testifies that he was brought on board almost 10 years ago to restructure family finances. But what he discovered, he tells the court, was a plan meant not to finance a family, but to create an empire ruled by one man. He produces emails, wire transfers, and offshore accounts, all demonstrating Kody redirecting family business profits into secret accounts beneath shell companies. Worse still, he asserts that Kody spent money intended for educating the children on buying luxury homes and a private investment portfolio. It is no longer a tale of shattered promises, it's a tale of planned theft, betrayal, and greed on a scale nobody envisioned. Halfway through his testimony, Michael glares at Kody. "You said to me once that they'd never challenge you," he says steadily. "That they needed you too much to ever retaliate." The room falls silent. Christine glares at Kody, her eyes streaming with tears, but this time, they're tears of fury. What do you do when the person you trusted most makes your life into a business, and you are just an investment? The judge lets out a deep breath. With this testimony, he states, "We are now faced with possible charges of financial fraud and misappropriation." Kody's empire is not only falling, it's crumbling into legal dust. But the verdict hasn't yet been read, and the ultimate decision may have a knockout blow none of them are ready to take. The courtroom is a pressure cooker now, every breath shallow, every glance heavy with unspoken judgment. The world outside waits for headlines, but inside these walls the Browns wait for something far more terrifying. Judgment Day. All evidence is in. All witnesses have spoken. What remains is the final stretch, the closing arguments that will determine whether Kody Brown walks away a free man, or loses everything he ever built. What if the end you've been expecting isn't the end at all? What if the truth has another twist, one more shattering revelation, before the final gavel strikes? The drama is set, the stakes are higher than ever, and in the next few moments everything changes. The prosecutor rises, voice steady but sharp. This isn't simply a breaking of trust. This is dishonesty woven into the tapestry of a family. Intentional, deliberate, and annihilate. He moves slowly toward the jury, brandishing the original agreement. This document was a vow, a cornerstone. And that cornerstone was broken by greed. Christine sits in the front row, hands folded into a tight grasp. Meri and Janelle sit beside her, exchanging a glance. Not one of anger now, but one of exhausted closure. Even Robyn, previously vehemently defensive, glares at the ground, silent tears streaming down her face. It's no longer about victory or defeat. It's about who writes the story that history will tell. Kody's defense attorney rises next, his tone desperate. "My client is flawed, yes, but he is not a criminal. He made choices, misguided perhaps, but choices made for love and legacy." The words fall flat. The jury's expressions don't change. Kody stares blankly ahead, his hands trembling under the table. "If the narrative that you created about yourself is now used against you, how do you plead the man you once were?" "Closing arguments will wrap up tomorrow," declares the judge, "and the verdict will come after." In the hallway, reporters rush for quotes. In the courtroom, the Browns sit in stunned silence, understanding that the next time they sit here, their worlds will be forever altered. But fate still has one final twist, and the verdict isn't the only surprise in store for this courtroom. The verdict morning comes like a thunderstorm across the horizon, soft at first, but threatening with the potential for something irrevocable. The courthouse is crowded to the point of bursting. Cameras fire off. Reporters scream out questions, but within the courtroom, silence reigns. The Browns sit alone now, no longer a family, but broken shards of what was. And at the heart of it all, Kody Brown sits by himself, looking down at the ground, like he is trying to find a part of himself he still understands. What if the verdict that seals your destiny is not only signed on paper, but etched in the legacy you leave? What if every decision, every lie, every deceit guides you to unwrite your name with one sentence that sticks for eternity? That is what's about to ensue. The bailiff brings the room into order. The jury enters, their expressions inscrutable. Christine squeezes Janelle's hand. Meri breathes slowly, eyes closed as if in prayer. Robyn wipes her tears and prepares herself for what is about to happen. The foreperson rises. In the case of breach of contract, financial misconduct and fraudulent concealment, she starts. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kody Brown. A hesitation. So weighty it is as if time itself has momentarily halted. Guilty on all charges. A collective gasp runs the courtroom. Christine's hands cover her face, sobbing. Janelle releases a shuddering breath. Even Robyn, crying, appears relieved the truth is finally recognized. Kody lowers his head and closes his eyes. The man who had created an empire on faith, love, and leadership now fallen by his own decision. This isn't a sentence, it's a reckoning. And reckoning doesn't stop with a sentence, it starts there. The judge's voice is firm but even. Sentence will be read tomorrow. In the meantime, Mr. Brown, you are remanded in custody. Two officers step forward. As they take him away, Kody glances back, not in the direction of the courtroom, not toward the camera, but at the faces of the family he once said he protected. What do you do when the history you constructed becomes the prison you can't escape? But the tale isn't finished. The last session will make known the repercussions that reverberate way beyond the courtroom. The last day arrives under a gray, somber sky, the sort of day that feels like an ending. Outside the courthouse, there are cameras thronging the steps, reporters whispering, and ex-fans of Sister Wives carrying signs, calling for justice. Inside, the Browns reunite for the last time, not as family but as witnesses, to the conclusion of a tale that has also brought them apart. Today is not a day for determining guilt. That's already been determined. Today is about repercussion. What if everything you had decided over years collapsed on top of you in one sentence? What if all the secrets, all the betrayals, all the lies came with a cost? And today you had to. This is not just the conclusion of a trial. It's the conclusion of an era. The judge steps in, and the courtroom stands. All is quiet as Kody Brown is escorted into the courtroom handcuffed. The commanding figure he once was now a shadow of himself. The judge speaks in measured tone, with an icy demeanor. Kody Brown, for contract breach, financial fraud and concealment, you received 12 years in federal prison, and are ordered to pay $5.6 million in restitution to your former wives. Gasps ripple through the gallery. Christine weeps silently, a mix of relief and sorrow in her eyes. Janelle grips Meri's hand, not in celebration but in shared closure. Even Robyn, still conflicted, nods slowly as if accepting that justice, however painful, has been served. The courtroom may be silent, but the echoes of this decision will haunt the Brown family. Kody turns to them one final time.
His voice is all but a whisper. I thought I was keeping you safe, he says. I thought I was creating something greater. Christine moves forward. You created it, she says. But you created it with lies. What remains of a family when the truth has reduced everything to ash? Is healing ever possible, or are some wounds too deep to heal? As the gavel comes down for the last time, the Browns file out of the courtroom, not as one family, but as individuals walking into uncertain futures. And for the first time in years, the truth, raw, painful, and unflinching, belongs not to Kody Brown, but to them. Now let's hear from you. If you were Christine, would you forgive, or never look back? Let me know in the comments below.